Well, ever since I retired, I've always wanted to create a place where retired horses could relax, like a retirement home.
I see.
I did some trial cultivation during that period, and since I was able to grow things well even during the day, I got a little carried away and
Is that right?
I started thinking maybe I could actually grow mushrooms.
Recently, how has it been going from a business perspective? Has it stabilized? I am Shirakawa from OE Transport. I am visiting here in Geo Farm Hachimantai to interview the representative, Mr. Funabashi. Here is Mr. Funabashi, the representative of Geo Farm Hachimantai. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well then, first of all, I'd like to ask you something. What was the reason or motivation for starting Geo Farm? What were your thoughts when you began?
We started our journey in the year 2015, which was 2015.
I see.
Before that, there was a horse ranch called Kurari Ranch, which was located very close to here, just a short distance away.
Ah.
The year after the earthquake disaster. In 2012, well, I was in Hokkaido. Before that, I was there, but then, by helping out, I moved here from Hokkaido. And of course, since it was the year after the earthquake, things like horseback riding and horses in general, even horse racing, well, Iwate horse racing too, were going through a tough time. In that situation, it was difficult to find places where horses could really be active, or even just places to keep them. There were quite a lot of those issues back then.
Yeah, I see.
So when I moved here from Hokkaido, I kept wondering if there wasn't some way to create a place where we could all be together with the horses. And as for myself, well, even now, but back then too, I was always riding horses, participating in equestrian competitions and such. I always wanted to create a place where the horses I was involved with could relax after retirement, like a sanctuary for them to spend their later years in peace. First, there's the matter of manure, horse manure specifically.
Right.
And then, as for crops that utilize that manure, mushrooms are a prime example.
I see.
That's actually the background behind why I decided to establish this farm here in Japan.
So why did you decide on mushrooms? Just curious.
That's a question I get asked a lot, and honestly, I never imagined I'd end up growing mushrooms to this extent myself. Well, it just so happened that there was a place called Clary Ranch. The reason the ranch was started there is because Mr. Clary himself started it, so it's called Clary Ranch. He was an Australian,
Yeah.
and Australia is actually considered to be one of the very top countries in the entire world when it comes to annual mushroom consumption per capita. So, Mr. Clary, well, this was a while ago, but I heard that in Australia, ranches and horse facilities often grew mushrooms as a side business. Apparently, that was pretty common there. That got me even more interested. Plus, I've always liked eating mushrooms, so I thought I'd give growing them a try myself. I looked into it and tried growing them myself. That's how I ended up becoming a mushroom farmer, which is what I do now.
I see. I understand. So could you please tell us about the difficulties and challenges you faced from the time you started Hachiman Geo Farm up until you actually got it running?
It's really been a struggle just to keep things going somehow. As for the horse division, well, when it comes to making it a viable business, it's honestly very difficult to see a clear path to making it sustainable. In this situation, even if we try to build facilities for retired horses, if it's on a boarding basis, then at least we can see the numbers for taking care of them.
But
if you are unknown and people don't know what kind of place it is or who's running it, it's only natural that they wouldn't want to entrust their precious horses to you. I think it is just the way it is. Until you build up your track record, it's going to be very difficult to take on that kind of responsibility. When I actually became independent from Kurari Farm and started running things on my own, it was right after the earthquake disaster. At that time, not only was there less demand for entertainment and horseback riding, but even horse racing was struggling overall. It was a time when the whole industry was lacking energy, and on the contrary, there was even talk about having to reduce the number of horses being kept. So that was the timing.
Hokkaido.
After moving from Hokkaido, my very first job at my new workplace was to reduce the number of horses and get everything properly sorted out. But honestly, that was never what I wanted to do most.
At that time,
there were about 27 horses in total. There were around 20 horses already here. And then, when I moved over, I brought 6 more horses with me, so that was the situation. I brought them with me, but I realized that managing the horses that were already here is a completely different matter in terms of numbers. So we had to come up with a way for both the horses and ourselves to get by. So the first thing we did was to properly make compost from horse manure and deliver it to farmers, or turn it into a product to sell. That's how we started out.
Yes,
Looking ahead to 2020, yes, Tokyo Olympic was about to be held. The whole country was addressing the urban greening and the rooftop gardening was becoming popular.
yes, I remember that.
I was told that horse manure is a good organic fertilizer. It won't give away much smell. And then by chance we made a connection with the Ginza Honeybee Project, which is an organization in Tokyo that actually keeps honeybees on rooftops in places like Ginza.
They are active there.
They have chosen where they first began to use our horse manure as a nutrient-rich soil on the rooftop of their building, creating a new way to grow plants above the city. However, with composting, things are really only active in the spring or fall, so there are times when not much is happening.
You can't always add it to the soil, after all.
That's right. Ideally, well, actually, if it were a business and if that was a solid point where we could reliably make a profit, we could focus on that and make various plans. But at the time, we were just trying to figure out how to get by day to day. So I thought, this isn't good. So using all that compost we had, I started by trying to grow some crops. Back then, I tried growing summer vegetables like bell peppers, and I also experimented with cultivating mushrooms. It was a time of a lot of trial and error.
I see what you mean.
But anyway, after summer, in the fall, well, that's when mushrooms naturally tend to grow in the wild. So, originally, I did experimental cultivation during that season, and I was able to successfully grow mushrooms like that. I kind of misunderstood and thought, maybe I can grow mushrooms. So, I decided to get a bit more serious about it. This was around the beginning of 2014, I think. But once I actually started, I realized it wasn't as easy as I thought. Still, based on the results I had, I put together a proposal, thinking, maybe I can do this properly in this way, and submitted it to the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry for a subsidy project. I tried all sorts of things.
Well,
It was right around the time of the earthquake recovery, so there was also the idea that it could help create jobs. Thanks to that, our proposal was accepted, and that's how we were able to build the cultivation and composting facilities with the help of the subsidy project.
how has the business side been lately? Has it stabilized?
Yes, thanks to that, things have stabilized. I think for most people, it's quite difficult to really imagine mushrooms having a strong aroma or a crisp texture.
Right, they're usually mushy.
Yeah, they're mushy and don't have much flavor, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But once people get to know our mushrooms,
Yeah, exactly.
people end up thinking, maybe I'll buy them again, or maybe I'll eat them again. So it's really easy to get repeat customers now. So that's part of it. Back in 2015, when we first started growing them, our monthly production was only about 900 kilograms, not even reaching 1 ton. Now, really, with the same facilities, well, with 4 greenhouses, we're producing about 8 to 9 tons. In good seasons, our production even reaches around 9.5 to almost 10 tons. Our mushroom cultivation techniques, which we have carefully refined and developed over time, have also improved quite significantly.
I see.
And in terms of income and expenditure, we have now reached the point where we can produce in a way that does not fall below cost.
It doesn't seem to be beneficial yet, at least not currently or at this point in time.
Yeah, that's right. Finally, if we include strict depreciation, we might just be in the black. Actually, for that part, we did a crowdfunding campaign this time. And if we can increase the number of the greenhouses to 6, then I think that as of last year, we were almost in the black. And this year, it feels like we're in a situation where we can take it up another notch.
Well, you could say things have stabilized, or rather, from here on out. The goal is to start generating profits.
In terms of horses together, that there are horses and mushrooms, and whether that can actually become something where retired horses can be properly cared for, that's the key point about the mushrooms. Bacterial bed, or rather the substrate.
Ah,
As for the composition, or rather the raw materials, approximately 85 to 90% is basically bulk of manure we collect from the horse barns. To adjust the nitrogen content, we use poultry manure.
I see. Well,
We mix in about 10% or so.
you mix in that much.
Yes, that's right. And then to adjust the pH, we mix in about 5% gypsum. And then 80 to 90% of the rest is that material. The material that has been composted as becomes the raw material. So the raw materials for this substrate are straw bedding, the feed for the horses, and the manure that comes out after the horses eat. That's pretty much all of it. The procurement cost for this substrate is directly linked to and makes up the majority of the cost of raising and managing the horses. Including the actual numbers, we've made sure to make everything visible and transparent. I think what we've really focused on over these 5 years is solidifying things even further. That's why, unless both aspects are properly established, we can't create an environment where retired horses can also be included.
That's right. Horses really do cost a lot of money after all.
Yes, that's true.
So it sounds like a good cycle is starting to form now.
Yes, and basically it's the consumers who are actually supporting that cycle, by continuing to make purchases.
Mashuru.
Who eat the mushrooms, and also the buyers and distributors who connect everything together. I really see it as a virtuous cycle of consumption.
There are a lot of things. It seems like there will be more developments in the future, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. There's still a lot more to come. It's really like, even if something has just started this year, like with horses when they come up at 3 or 4 years old, there's still 10 or 20 years of things to do after that. In the same way, I think we can keep expanding the market share of mushrooms for the next 10 or 20 years. Yes.
Right.
Fortunately, I feel like what I need to do has now become much more clear and obvious to me, and I am confident about the direction I should take. So, with the crowdfunding campaign, we decided to set a really big and ambitious target amount of 5 million yen. And this guy, he's already, believe it or not, a 26-year-old grandpa.
Wow, is he actually that old?
In Anglo-Arabian horses.
So that's how mushrooms are actually grown, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.